process, the important chapter is reproduction. Reproduction is one of the important life process. One of the important life process. What do you mean by life process? Life process is the process in which the organism can be survive. Organism can be survive. Every organism need to survive by itself by performing different kinds of biological activities. And whatever the life processes the organisms are performing for that survival only. For example, digestion, respiration, photosynthesis, and all these processes, excretion, respiration, all the processes are comes under the life processes, and all the processes are necessary for performing the organism for their survival. In the same way, the reproduction is also one of the important life process, but this is the only process the organisms can be continue their generations for the next. So comparatively any other life processes, the reproduction plays a major and crucial role in continue the generations of the race of every individual organisms, right? And reproduction means producing young ones, producing of the same, producing the young ones of the same. For example, the humans producing the human babies, and dogs producing the puppies, the pigs producing the piglets, cow producing the calf. The young ones are exactly resemble to their parents. This is what a very common process occurs in the reproduction, right? This reproduction process is different in different organisms, and basically the reproduction process can be classified into two ways. Two types of reproduction methods we can see. One is the asexual mode of reproduction. Asexual mode of reproduction. Asexual mode of reproduction in the sense of organisms, a single parental organism can be performing. Single parental organism. Single parental organisms are performing in this process to produce the young ones, and no gamete formation, no fusion of gametes, and no fertilization, and direct a single parent can produce the young ones in this process of asexual mode of reproduction, right? Mostly this kind of reproduction process occurs in the primitive organisms. Primitive organisms or primary organisms are unicellular organisms. Most probably unicellular organisms are performing asexual mode of reproduction, right? And later some multicellular organisms also performing the same kind of asexual mode of reproduction. And initially we observe that the asexual mode of reproduction performed in bacteria. And how bacteria can performing this asexual mode of reproduction. Initially when we observe that in lower classes you people learn that the formation of curd, formation of milk into curd, and what we are doing usually making of curd, initially we are taking a bowl of milk and heat it up and bringing back to the room temperature, and then we are added a spoon of buttermilk to the milk, and after a few hours automatically the bowl of milk is converted into curd. This is a very regular process occurs in almost all the houses, right? And how the bowl of milk has converted into curd. And there is a process when you add a spoon of a buttermilk or a curd to the milk, automatically the lactobacillus bacteria present in the spoon of buttermilk is converting the entire milk of bowl of milk into the curd. This is what a very common process. And after adding a spoon of buttermilk to the bowl of milk, what happens? The bacteria initially multiply in number. Bacteria initially multiply in number. Whenever you add a spoon of buttermilk to the milk, initially the bacteria increase in number. Multiply in the sense of increase in number. How the bacteria increase in number? And the entire bacteria converting the milk into the curd. Increasing number or multiplication is nothing but a kind of a asexual mode of reproduction. This asexual mode of reproduction occurs in bacteria is called binary fission. Is called binary fission. Binary fission. See this is a kind of asexual mode of reproduction. It is generally called as a fission. Fission. The asexual mode of reproduction performed by the bacteria and primary organisms is called a fission. During this fission, what happens? The parental bacteria or parental organism, initially the parental organism present in the medium itself, the parental organism containing some genetic material, and we know that unicellular organisms are called prokaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic. Some unicellular organisms are prokaryotic organisms. These prokaryotic organisms does not possess the nuclear membrane. They have only the genetic material. So initially what happens that the genetic material is divided into two parts. Initially the genetic material has been divided into two parts, right? And later the outer membrane of the bacteria having some a deep groove, and it is trying to divide the parental organism or a cell into two daughter cells, and finally we can observe that, and finally the two daughter cells are producing at the end of the fission process. Finally we can observe that the two daughter cells are producing complete this deep groove or the deep depression can able to separate the parental organism into two daughter cells. This is the process of formation of new ones in the lower organisms like bacteria. So finally in this process we are observing that how many daughter cells are formed here. The two daughter cells are forming at the end of this asexual mode of reproduction. So whenever two organisms are forming at the end of this process, we can say this process is a binary fission, and we know that the bi means two daughter organisms are forming at the end of this process. So it is called a binary fission, right? And usually amoeba and paramecium, euglena, the bacteria, these are some organisms are performing this kind of a fission process. This comes under asexual mode of reproduction. The another kind of asexual mode of reproduction is budding, right? Budding in the sense of the first three letters, we can see that it's a bud. Most probably examples of this kind of asexual mode of reproduction performed by organisms is yeast and also hydra. Two examples we are taking for explaining the process of budding occurs in the asexual mode of reproduction producing the young ones. Initially we are taking the yeast. Yeast is a multicellular organism, and we people know that. Multicellular organism, and there is a specific or a prominent nucleus is here, and also the cytoplasm the entire organism has filled. Right. So initially there is a small outgrowth or bulge has formed as developed from the parental organism. A small growth or a bulge, this is also called as a bulge, has formed from the surface of the parental organism. And what happens in later? This parental organism, whenever the bulge has formed, the nucleus has divided. The nucleus is divided into two nuclei. The nucleus is divided into two nuclei, and one nuclei enter the bulge or the bud newly arising from the body surface. Later, slowly the cytoplasm of the parental organism also entering the cytoplasm also entering the bulge or the bud slowly, and whenever the cytoplasm continuously accumulating in the bulge or the bud, the size of the bud slowly increases in size. Slowly increasing the size of the bud when the continuous accumulation of the cytoplasm from the parental organism. Whenever the bud is completely grown and exactly resemble to that of their parental organism, the bud can be detached from the parental organism and they also can grow placed on the suitable substrate and growing as an individual organism.